And I'm glad you're here. I'm the founder of Red Oak Local, and I've been working with lodging properties since 2014, so the past 6 years or so. And welcome to the first webinar. We're going to record this, send this out if you can't make this live, but it's all about stage one. So we wrote a long, in-depth playbook on 3 stages to marketing during this crisis. One that is kind of crisis marketing, stage 2, and then stage 3. So I'll get into that a little bit. So welcome. Thank you for being on here. I'm going to zip through everything. It's going to be in depth with lots of examples. It's going to be really meaty, but I'm going to zip through, and then you can ask me questions. I don't want to hover. There's a lot here, and I want to make sure that we can kind of get through it. And then if we miss something, feel free to ask questions. Shoot me an email. I'm here to help. Just want to welcome you here. So, all right, I'll come back to that. So, the first thing I want to say is this is a absolute catastrophic time for small lodge. It's catastrophic for any lodging property, and it's especially true for properties that are independent. They don't have the mass cash reserves of a Marriott or even a small regional hotel chain or something like that. So we have dedicated our work for the last 6 years primarily to helping independent lodging properties. It's been a big part of just my life and some of those retreats and those getaways, whether it's with my wife, Leah, whether it's with my family. And so, and that's part of a broader dream that I have to open one someday, complete with a farm and all of these types of things. So that's what got us into this, and that's why we continue to be in it. So even during some of these difficult times. So the goal of this is to help bring some education, show you what we're doing with our clients so that whether you and I ever talk or we work together, you can still have that value. You can run and hopefully really be successful with it. But I want to acknowledge that it's a catastrophic time. There's a lot of difficult things. I know of several inns that are probably headed out of business, going out of business because it's just been so rough on them. I know others that are well positioned. So there's just a lot of different situations out there, and I don't want to minimize that by saying this is not a difficult time. So I'm with you. I want to do everything I can to help you because I think it's just not. Independent lodging does not get a lot of help or a lot of love, and it's important to me. So hopefully this will be part of what my part in that. We have a philosophy at Red Oak Local and with our clients that it's an investment philosophy. So one of the encouragements through this, and not to be sensitive to the difficulty, is to continue to invest in your marketing, whether that's with a partner such as Red Oak Local or more, or with yourself, to continue and invest in your marketing, your communication, because there's going to be short-term benefits of revenue and things like that. There's going to be long-term benefits to just momentum in building an audience and building that connection with them. This is a study that was done years ago, after 2015, after several years after the impact was seen on the recession of 2008 and 2009 and some of those things that happened. This was an impact on what happened. What determined whether a hotel or property was a winner or a loser over the short term and the long term. And what it came down to is those properties that marketed continued to take steps. They may have adjusted things. They may have massaged things around. They may have been temporary. They may have done that. They continue to find ways to invest in themselves and in their own marketing, as opposed to those who took a machete and just whacked it off and left it. I see a lot of properties kind of going toward that knee-jerk reaction because revenue went, but people are going to travel. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of our philosophy as we kind of go through this. So what to expect today? Today is educational. There's no sales pitch. If you have a desire to, talk more, happy to do that. And we have a strategy call that we offer to any qualifying property that we spend about 45 minutes on the phone. I get an understanding of what you're doing, and then I really try to leave you with 2 to 3 strategies. So that, if you have interest, you can schedule that. But today is not a sales pitch. It is all educational. It's practical and action oriented. I really get tired of the broad articles that don't really tell you anything. So I'm trying to get into the nitty gritty because we're in it with our clients every day and we want to share that. So we focus on examples. It's not going to be fancy. It's not going to be flashy. There's going to be probably too much text because I get a little wordy, but there'll also be a lot of examples on that. So we're going to be focused in on that practical value. And today, like I said, we're focusing on stage 1, and I'll get into what that is. But if you've read our playbook or glanced over it, there's 3 stages that we're anticipating with the lodging market. And there's people are going to be affected in different ways. But overall, we're going to focus on those 3 stages and how to come out of this ready to thrive instead of just surviving. But first, we got to focus on surviving. And that's what a lot of today's work is. So here's our agenda on several things. This doesn't cover everything we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about several key things that you can begin doing this week, even today, and start generating revenue and start building back your marketing and your communication. Real quick, just to segue into about us. If you don't know who I am, I founder, like I said, of Red Oak Local. We been in business since 2010 and worked with independent lodging since 2014. In that time, we've launched marketing campaigns for properties of all sizes. We tend to focus on just a very small handful of things that we know and we can see working in the digital marketing world. That's all we do is digital marketing, and we focus on about 5 key services that we provide for those. We've expanded that with the COVID stuff a little bit for our clients to help because it's such a time of crisis. But everything is direct booking focused. We can assist with some thought processes behind OTAs, but overall, our belief is that investing in your own marketing, your own direct bookings is always the best option, even if you dip your toe into other waters. So we work with several select registry properties. We're Montford Inn in Norman, Oklahoma, longtime great people and invested in the innkeeping and lodging industry. Phyllis, William, Murray there. We work with several others as well. So we love Select Registry. We work with a lot of different properties, but Select Registry is just a great focus on quality over quantity, and I think is great. So we've worked with them. We're a member of the Association of Lodging Professionals. There used to be 2 for a number of years, PI and AIHP, and we're members of the ALP, which is their merger of those 2 associations, which we think is great. So a little bit about us. Like I said, I'm Matt. My wife is the director of content for us. She'll be joining us for the next webinar, and we've got a small team of about 5 of us that are really invested in our clients. So we really focus in, like I said. So that's a little bit about us. We work with properties all over. We have team members all over. I personally live in Jackson, Michigan, which is about an hour west of Detroit, hour and a half west of Detroit, kind of. So beautiful place, lots of lakes, lots of trails. We love it. So a little cold, but we. All right. So I just want to make sure in case you. So like I said, the goals for your property are to get revenue flowing, strengthen a relationship with your audience and your past guests. They're your best asset. They're your best future customers because they've been your past customers, or they're already aware of you. So Google is great. OTAs are sometimes necessary, but your existing audience is really important. That's a lot more than posting to your Facebook page. Number 3 is tastefully building your brand, elevating your experience. That's going to help you get out of any price struggles that you have where people are comparing you directly. You got to differentiate yourself. So your branding and how you do that is important. And then number 4, planning and building for the future, making sure you have marketing assets that allow you to grow significantly over time. So those goals fit inside of 3 stages of how we've set up our playbooks. Today, we're going to talk about stage 1, kind of crisis time, communication marketing, not a heavy emphasis on sales or selling, but more on that crisis communication. So in this stage, we're all generally there. Some of us are getting into the next stage, but people aren't generally traveling for emergencies or essential travel. They're staying focused on those. So when we're seeing the lowest demand in decades, I changed that a couple minutes ago to ever, because I don't think we've ever experienced anything like this in the last 100 years for the lodging industry. Stage 2 is where things start to trickle in. I've seen some in the South. My properties in Tennessee and Texas and Oklahoma, where they're starting to get, because they're opening things up, people are starting to travel a little bit, some for essential purposes, some just to get away in a safe way. And so I think people are finally, they're starting to get some bookings. I had several with a couple of rooms in cottages filled last weekend. So that was great to see some energy there. But it's not quite full demand yet. So stage 3 is strong demand. And this is where things start to pick back up. And I think we will get back there soon, sooner than later, because this is such an artificial downturn. We have not really been, we've not really done much to get ourselves in this mix-up. It's focused on the virus and some of those responses. So it's artificial. People are stuck in their homes. When they are released, they're going to be ready to travel safely, of course. And I think there's some opportunities for it in the small lodging industry, but people are going to be ready to go, I think. So, all right. So that's stage 3. Within those in the playbook, and we're kind of sharing that here, there's essentials things I think every property should do, and there's building things depending on where you're at in terms of cash flow and in terms of your location and what things are looking like for you. You may not be able to do quite yet, but I'd recommend it if you can. Also, just a quick note, this is a playbook we're using for our clients. This is not hope and guess. This is not what we're seeing someone do on social media. This is what we're using for our clients or recommending, advising them on. All right, so we've broken up into 2 areas. This is, we're going to focus on 2 of those goals that I mentioned. Get revenue flowing and strengthen the relationship with your audience. So area number 1 will be that, and then the revenue we'll get to here in a couple of minutes. Communicating important changes and updates. So that's the first step, and it's something you've probably already done. I'm going to take this from a marketing perspective, not from a cleaning perspective, cleaning pro or housekeeping or even a legal standpoint. Just from a marketing communication standpoint, things to think about as you detail, as you communicate that to your guests. I think in this time, communicating very clearly what you're doing and how you're doing it to different levels of specificity is going to give people confidence. You always want to err on the side of giving people confidence so that they feel comfortable booking with you. So there's a lot of things. We'll talk about that in the revenue section a little bit. But for now, you want to detail out your procedures. And like I said, you've probably already done that in some way. But these are some things to think about. Whether you're closed, when you'll open, what taking reservations for what dates. Like in Maine, according to the governor, you're not supposed to be able to take reservations from outside the state until July. And that may be a moving target. So communicating that well to potential guests so you don't scare them off, so they understand, I think is important. All your procedures that have changed for check-in and check-out, for your breakfast, any meals, cleaning, of course. I think this is going to be really important that people see that you're very diligent and very clear. And this is going to be a differentiating factor between someone who's just on Airbnb or a large hotel who may be cleaning well but may not have the oversight that can be a differentiating feature. And if you're doing any spacing of reservations, I've got some properties that are waiting a day and doing a lot of cleaning, some that are waiting 3 days. So detailing those out and doing those in a way that's both thorough and easy to scan. So I would put these on your website, which you may have already done, but put it on a page so that you can expand it and adjust it, and then have a pop-up or a banner that directs people to that, and then link it from different spots on the site. If you're running a special, say, here's how we're keeping you safe, and link off to that page. So I would use a page as ground zero and detail those things out. So get as detailed as you want to be, because I think it's important that people that are going to book with you, I think they're going to read it. And we're seeing that with our clients, but make it scannable so that you can utilize headings in that space. So I'll come back to the end of this, but here's an example. To our valued guests, we're doing these things. And this is a draft format that we're updating. I just took a screenshot. During your stay and cleaning, check in, check out, all of those things and what is happening. This is something you can refer to. You're probably doing this on the phone if you're talking to any potential guests or guests that have questions for you that have already booked. Have this resource so they can read that, and then they can ask you less on that. So having some of those headings, but having the details behind it. I would communicate this through email. You should have an email list that has all your past guests, and a way for people that maybe haven't stayed with you, a way for them to follow up with you, and then a social media, putting it out there multiple times, and then even boosting it to those people, to your audience. I'll talk more about some of this triangle here in a little bit, but communicating that. So just encourage you to really dive in. You may not want to detail out every surface you're cleaning, but talking about, hey, these are CDC approved cleaning products. If they are, here's our practices. You may even find reviews where people mention your cleaning in the past, so that you can say, hey, this is one of the areas that guests always point out to us anyway. So we want you to know we're taking it up a notch, but we know cleaning is super important for you to trust us. So detail those things out. There may be more things here, but I really encourage, that's going to bring trust and help you from a marketing perspective convert more people into booking over the next month or two. So this is an example on how they're doing cleanings and cottages and whatnot. You also want to communicate out about the regional and local environment. So obviously state and city orders that are stay at home, or what those practices are like. But I think too, it's also just a service to your guests, not just the legal side of this is what you can do if you come once we're open, but we are open. What restaurants are nearby? What restaurants are offering takeout or delivery? And, not just here's a giant list. I think one of the value we can provide as business owners is filtering, curating, and making clear recommendations. And you probably already do this to people on the phone, or when you're when they're in person, you're making these recommendations. Do that. So, make it extensive to the point where it can be useful. But I've seen some folks list out, here's 30 restaurants. That's not narrowing it and curating that for your potential guests. So parks and outdoor activities, super important, stuff you already thought about, but detailing that out. These are things that are open. Here's links to them. I think is a service that'll help people visualize what is happening, what is going on. And maybe there's shopping, maybe there's public venues that are opening up in limited ways. But basically, people are going to know, if they're coming to the Smokies, they're going to know there's a ton of things to do, but what things are open. So curating that a little bit on your website, and then pointing people to that, both people that are guests or people that are potential guests, I think is going to be really helpful, and something we're working with our clients to do. So I don't have a lot of examples on that, but that's going to be kind of a additional way to I think build trust, build authority that you are a professional lodging property, not just an Airbnb kind of experience. All right. Okay. Number 3 is talking about experiences at your property. You're trying to make that connection to your guests, and doing that is so important. and that is just going to be very helpful to you to continue that top of mind presence, continue that connection. So, zeroing in on why guests come to your area and or your property, and share those experiences through photo and video. So, and feature it all. Either there's going to be small things, like I mentioned, like we have one property with like a celebrity cat. Basically, everyone comes to the property, whether they like that, they have an outdoor cat that just loves, it'll take people on guided trips through their property, on their trail. Like, there's just so many unique things with that, and it's a small thing, but it connects to people on an emotional level that have been there already. It could be a sunrise, a sunset. What are the things people are coming to your property? If you're in the mountains, it's going to be sunset, sunrise, landscape. If you have people love your dining options, love your breakfast, feature those things. If it's your personal service, feature some of that in unique ways. And don't try to get fancy. You want quality over quantity, but you don't need to be fancy. You don't have to have a big DSLR camera and all those things. Grab your iPhone. You can do time-lapse videos with iPhone. You can do great photos and videos, and make sure you're doing good lighting and things like that, but don't overthink it. You're going to really enjoy just creating that and seeing the response from people. So here's a couple of examples from folks. A couple of these are Fall Farm. Carol there does a wonderful job at just staging and decorating, and just not really just that guest experience. So here's a post from her about the porches and the flowers, and just some of that. She did a midweek treat for a couple that's celebrating 45 years together in her separate building, and she brought them this tray, and man, it just had such a great response. Another food one from her, breakfast tray. She brought that in to guests that were separate on her property that were staying with her. Like, that is an experience that I'm my wife said, she's like, I know what she's doing, but I still was like, oh my goodness, when she saw that come through. So she's really creative with the food. So I think food is a great way. If you're a bed and breakfast property and you serve food regularly, that's just an excellent way to do that. This is a property we work with called Montford Inn, and I'm going to try to play this video, see if I can do this well. All right. All right, let's see if you can, hopefully you can hear this. Isn't that excellent? So good. So good. And I don't know if you could hear music. There's music in the background. There's obviously the fire. Just short, very simple video, but super effective and right on to where it needs to be. Let me get back to, all right. Okay, so that super effective short videos like that. Here's one from, I think this is Beach Colony. I think there might be in South Carolina. This is about how to make a margarita. So going live and doing this stuff, sharing a short video. I think all of these things are really helpful for people to connect on an emotional level. And it's advertising, it's marketing without feeling that way. It's very gentle. It's focused on when they can come experience that. So don't overestimate that. Those are also assets you're creating to use in future marketing things that that we'll talk about here. Another thing is experiences in your local area. So it doesn't just have to be your property. It could be why people come to the area. We've got a client in the Smoky Mountains. That's a great way to share a short video of a hike. There's folks that are on the water, on the ocean. Great, short, easy to feature the ocean. This is a 20-minute video of just the ocean coming in and out. The video quality isn't particularly good. This is not a client. This is that beach colony. They did a nice job. Enjoy your vacation from home, and they had several different things, but one of these was just enjoy the beach and enjoy the sound. And the sound quality wasn't particularly good. The video wasn't particularly good, and it still got the point across and did a nice job of communicating that. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to get people to connect emotionally that had either been there or wanting to be there. You could also go more in depth. You can do a written interview or a video interview if you have a hike in your, a guide in your area. Maybe you've got, let's say, guided fishing in the Smoky Mountains. You go out, say, hey, take me out and let's do fishing for an hour, and I can interview you and feature you to my folks. So, and so when you do that, you can really involve them and do a cross promotion, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So those are kind of the four things: is talking about yourself in the local area, both from a functional standpoint of here's what we're doing safety wise, here's what we're doing from a practices wise, but also here's things that are going on to connect. And they're both important to continue and keep people connected to your property. Okay, are we ready? Let's get to number 2 here. Area 2 we're kind of covering, which is get revenue flowing. What are those things? What are some campaigns that we can do even during this time of crisis? And I think as I record this on the 4th of May, people are getting very antsy in the United States anyway, and starting to plan travel, and we're starting to see things coming. And I'm even surprised to share this. I picked this morning. This has happened a couple days ago with a property that we work with. People are planning to travel. So this last week, a couple who lives in New York City, downtown, they planned their anniversary getaway with a gift certificate. So they purchased a gift certificate for $13.50. Redeemable value or running a bonus went to $16.20. And we've been running this for several weeks, had a couple $1,000s in sales for this property. And then this one came through, and this was from, it looks like a wife to a husband, and said, hey, happy anniversary. I think I saw later that they used that to book a stay in September. And so, I mean, that's real money, and people are getting antsy to celebrate and spend it and get out of the house. So just a little motivation for you, because these things they're coming through, and it's coming through with more regularity as both people kind of get a little antsy, as maybe income stabilizes for some, and as things start to seemingly look up. So number 1 is a gift card promotion. And don't tune out. I know everyone's been talking about this, and you've probably done it to some extent. We've got a unique approach that I want to share with you, but gift cards, like I showed you, can be a huge benefit and provide that value, that cash flow to you now, and allow people to plan a stay without committing quite to dates yet. There's still unknowns, particularly if you're in some of the harder hit states, New York, basically all of New England, because if you're in Maine, and you're not hit hard, they're so close to New York and New Jersey that they're planning on it. So they're being extra careful. So I think gift card promotion. So there's a couple of keys to make this really effective. And it's not just a quick social media post or a quick email blast. I think it functions best as a consistent promotion. And I'll talk more about that, but it'll come from a couple of keys: multiple and consistent visibility, So people have to see it multiple times. This is not a $50 gift certificate to the local restaurant. This is likely a couple $100, 500. We saw $1,300. People are purchasing, and so it's a big deal for them to make that purchase. So you have to be consistent because it's a bigger purchase. So here's some things that I've listed out on how we recommend and how we do them. Everything should flow through your website. You should have multiple emails going out at least once a week, but not all be sales related, not be pushy. And then you should have boomerang ads, and we'll talk more about that. Those are advertising going to people that are in your existing audience already, and they are reiterating what is in your emails and sending people to that site. So that gift card promotion functions on these three key areas. Inside your gift card promotion, you don't want to appear desperate. People are going to worry if it feels desperate that you might not be in business, in a couple of months. So don't give that impression. If you really have worries about being in business, maybe don't do this, because you don't want to not be able to give people their money. But you've got to make a strong call to action without being desperate for it. Typically, I would encourage you to give extra incentive as well. So offering a bonus, not saying a discount, but if they say $100, they get $115, $120, or $125 in the gift certificate. So a little bit of bonus. We run this for holiday time every year for clients, and it brings in at a slower time of year it can bring in up to $10,000, $20,000 extra dollars of cash flow at that time. And it's beneficial now to do that because it gets people over the edge. If you just say, hey, buy a gift card, it would really help us out, you're going to get some. If you offer a bonus, you're going to put more people over the edge, and it'll make up some of the lost percentage that you give. So it's up to you. We're seeing 20-25% be the most kick in the pants to get people to take action. Clear call to action. Ask them to buy it online. Ask them to call you. Make sure that is clear. It's not, folks don't always hold people's hand to take action when you're promoting things. So those are some of the keys. An effective gift card promotion. We've had some of our smaller properties have sold before the bonus $2,000-$3,000 even, and some of our bigger ones have been much more. And that's not gonna pay everyone on staff. That's not gonna pay you a healthy wage, but it's going to bring in some cash flow and give you that overall boost that you need. All right, so real practically, here's what it could look like. So on your website, you're going to have an offer page, and you're going to talk about some things, talking about having hope for a future trip, and helping our business along the way, and all of those things. You're going to have some type of page on your website that's easily accessible through a banner. It's linked from your homepage, linked from any specials. You're going to make sure it can't be missed, and any other specials, I should say. So some type of offer page, your website's the best place for that. And then, like I said, overall emails that follow up, talking about things, needing something to look forward to, really key, really important, because people are wanting to see that happen. So here's one of our initial emails that we send out is a clear ask to join and purchase a gift card. You'll see I cut it off because it was getting too long, but you'll see a button down below. We use buttons for a lot of things in emails because it clearly directs people on how you're asking them to take action. All right, so that's kind of a more ask. And if you come back here, so you can see an introduction of gift cards, reiterating the benefits, and then leading with experiential type things. So we talked about that above, like a photo of a bed and breakfast, a photo of your breakfast, or a video of you serving breakfast or pouring coffee. Those kinds of things become really useful when you're doing promotion. So here's an engagement email plus promotion. So further down, we promoted other things, but here was that breakfast post that the Montford Inn did. We promoted to their email list as the main thing. So we've hit them with a couple of emails up here focuses more on the engagement, so it doesn't feel like we're just selling in the time and being insensitive. And even when we do sell, we're saying we're being very soft with the sell, which I think overall is good because we're trying to build our brand and build a connection and not just make sales. You can do both, and you just have to do it with tact and with class. The other piece to it is social advertising. So Facebook, Instagram, really key. So we took that offer page, we put it through an email series, and then we have a social ad that's running to support that, and that's sending people to their main spot on their website. And then we're also linking to our practices page as well. It's got a link ad. That means people click on the picture, they go right to the website, and that is key to really to do that. An inspirational picture. People come to do things on the coast of Maine. Really important that happens. That we kind of speak to that, not just a picture of their property. Okay, so that is gift cards. So we kind of flew through that. There's a lot of pieces to that, and this is this right here is your plan to go out right here. So I'll send this afterwards, but this is your plan to send things out. And on this schedule, I would do at least 4 weeks, and you may just leave it and do it ongoing. But doing that is consistently and in multiple places can be really, really beneficial. And because people are making a little bit bigger of a purchase than they would at, like I said, a gift card for a local restaurant. So let's see if we have any questions on this stage here. I don't see any right now. So, okay, so shoot me your questions after. If you're watching a recording, happy to answer those as well. Okay, so let's get into number 2, and that is future reservations. How can you encourage, even at a time of crisis, future reservations? So the previous steps are going to go towards that. They're going to be that social interaction, that engagement of, hey, here's things you're missing from our property, from our local area, and talking about those things. But specifically, how can you encourage future reservations, whether you're still in a lockdown or you're starting to get maybe a couple of guests and a little bit of interest? Well, you're going to first focus on messaging. How can you talk about those things that make you different as a property anytime, but especially during this crisis, especially with a pandemic on our hands? So here's some things, may not all apply to you, but I've listed those out. And like I said, you'll have the slide deck so that you can utilize this ongoing. But staying at a small property is going to be preferred. Having a rural location, really ideal, I think, for a lot of people. You may not be necessarily rural, but you can highlight certain things that are rural in nature. You're a professional inn or you're a professional property. You're not an Airbnb host. There's nothing wrong if someone wants to do that, but they're going to be less trusted in this environment, I think. I would not trust someone to properly clean if they didn't have a proper business license or anything with that. So it's also, you want it to be a drivable location. You can talk about that, emphasize that, because I think people are going to be a lot more likely to get in their cars than get in an airplane right now and go nearby. So they're going to go towards that. You can emphasize that you're nearby, or you have on-site outdoor options, that you have cabins or cottages or outdoor entrances. Any of those kinds of things that allow separation, I think is going to be awesome to emphasize. While still being ethical and honest, I think even if you have an inn with a main house, there's ways that you could separate that or emphasize how that there's separation in that for people. So those aren't, if you don't have a cabin or a cottage, that doesn't make you that doesn't put you out. There's ways to emphasize those things. A flexible cancellation policy, we'll talk about in a second, but that's going to be, I think, really important going forward. And then highlighting the types of stays, really talking more in depth in your marketing about, hey, is this a family getaway? Is this romantic? And narrowing down rather than just, hey, come and stay. That'll be useful, but you want to speak to people and where they're at as much as possible, and segmenting is where that's done. All right, so specials and packages, here are some ideas. I'm not going to go in depth today. We're going to talk more about this in the future, but a reopen special or package, hey, we're open for guests, come back, I think is going to be really valuable. You can decide whether you want to add value to that or a discount, but I think pulling it into a package and then adding value for multiple night stays, really an important piece to the puzzle for that. Okay, gift certificate packages. This is one that I think is unique, and we're still testing this out. But for instance, Fall Farm Country Inn, Carol Fall there, she's done a great job, and gift certificate packages. So she's put together a Mother's Day getaway that includes, it can include 2 nights, massage, dining, but they purchase it all as a gift certificate. They may not want to use it now, but they've got it all as a package and they purchased that. So they know when they come, there's not going to be extras there. So, that may be a more significant gift certificate purchase, but talking about those things, I think it's going to help people visualize and plan. And this doesn't have to just be around events like Mother's Day or Father's Day or seasonal types of things. It can also be for life event type of things. So, a romantic getaway or a family getaway. Include those things, include some extras in them, maybe give a discount because you're doing it for 2 nights. I wouldn't do a package for less than 2 nights typically because you're going to make so much more margin on those. And then promote upcoming dates. Say, hey, when demand returns this weekend, we'll fill up, make a reservation now. You don't have to take a deposit, but having those on the books could be helpful, and they may change, but using some of that, emphasizing some of that scarcity that's going to happen, I think will get people motivated, even if at this point, even if it's a couple of months out, if it's a couple of weeks out, or it's around a major event that may not happen, you might be struggle. But I think promoting those upcoming dates, talking about some of the scarcity of those times, of those high seasons. So for instance, in Maine, getting your August weekends booked out because things are going to fill up once people can travel. Here's an example of a sales email. I think imagery is really important that displays emotion. Ideally, that's on your property. It has people in it, but if not, you use a good emotion-filled image to talk about that. And this is where we're talking about that Mother's Day gift certificate package. Okay, another thing I want to mention about future reservations as you focus on that is reducing friction. Booking and cancellation policies. Consider a 24-hour cancellation policy for the next couple of months or something similar. Do what works best for your property, but being very flexible and not emphasizing any advanced purchase rates. People aren't going to want to make reservations that locks them in and will not allow them to get a refund if they need it. So I think focusing on flexibility in different ways is going to be really important from a marketing perspective. It's going to be the increased bookings will very easily outweigh any abuse of the policies. I know everyone finds, there's certain people that just find those ways to get around a policy. I think it's going to reducing the friction of people purchasing and booking with you is going to outweigh any of those abusers of your policy. And in that regard, looking at your property's general policies, this can be a good time to say, okay, what can be simplified or removed to help people to book? You want to not get taken advantage of, but I see a lot of independent properties that have gotten burned at one point or another, and then they make this policy that really is, I think, pushes away a lot of people as they consider what where they're going to stay. They have a lot of options. I think small properties are going to be in more demand, so let's reduce the friction and get filled up as much as safely as possible. So think about that in reducing the friction. And then just a kind of a cancellation note, you're probably still getting some cancellations. People that have booked for August probably are starting to get some of those, maybe cancel. Consider asking them to transfer to either a future reservation or transfer it to a gift card for a future stay. And there's 2 ways to approach this. You can do it by default and say, hey, our cancellation we typically don't give money back, but would you take a gift card, and doing it kind of like a default thing. If you tell us cancel, you get a gift card to cover it for a future stay. If they don't like that, then you can relent at different points. So it depends how you want to approach it. If you don't want to kind of go with that and have maybe some conflict with a little bit more conflict with guests, it's going to save more of your cash flow, and especially if you've been taking deposits from your guests and utilizing that in your operating expenses. But the clear ask may be just, hey, if you're going to come later in the year, would you consider taking it as a gift card? And not everyone can, and you want to be very flexible with either option, but those are two different ways to approach it. Basically, by default, and just assume and say, hey, we'll issue the gift card, or clearly ask them through email or phone. This can really save thousands of dollars in cash flow right now. So, all right. I want to talk about this. So I've got two analogies. One, really got one analogy. I'm going to save the other one for when we talk on Friday, is our stage 2 webinar. But I want to consider a hub and spoke model. There's a couple ways to apply this, but with your lodging property, you are the hub for someone's trip. That's where they're going to stay. It's where we're going to spend the most amount of time. It's where they're probably going to agonize over the decision the most. And then from that, they are going to go do things. They're going to eat somewhere. They're going to go out and just do day trips and experiences and things like that. So you are the hub, and the spokes are all the things in your area. And this works so well in regular marketing, where you are featuring the area, but you are the natural hub that they're going to do when they book those experiences. It works well in content marketing, works well in email marketing. It works well because your website really should be that hub. But the important thing with kind of as a precursor, what I'm about to share you is you are well positioned as the lodging property to be the media company. So many folks are focused on getting that immediate booking, which is get it if you can, absolutely. But it's much cheaper and it's much more effective long term if you can be that hub for your local area, and you can introduce people to that, and you can become the media company. Not waiting for TripAdvisor, not waiting for the Travel Channel or any travel website out there, travel magazine, Southern Living, or anyone to be that hub. You are that hub for your local area, and thinking about that and planning for that is going to be a useful long term. So think about that as we talk about some of this promotion and ongoing, because it's an important distinction between where you think you just think of yourself as a spoke. I'm just trying to get bookings and do that. You're more than that as an independent property. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to introduce you to the promotion booster triangle. I've got to think of a better name for this, but this is our core thing that we do with clients and focus on, and it's so beneficial to get direct bookings both in the short term and in the long term. It just makes a huge difference to be able to effectively promote. The promotion booster triangle, it's like a garden. You plant it, you build it up the first year, and then over time it gets better and better as long as you keep putting inputs, you keep putting compost into it. It's going to continue to yield more results. So there's three pieces to this triangle. It starts with a strong offer. So we talked about, and I'm going to get to some examples of this, but it starts with a strong offer, whether that's a gift card offer, whether that's a promotion, that could be like, it could be a special or a package, or it could be a simple, clear message saying, hey, we're open now, ready for guests, that kind of thing. So something that's a clear message, a strong offer, and then that is at the pinnacle. And then you're going to promote that through email marketing and Boomerang ads. So think of that triangle. If you can really dial that in, especially right now, it's important all the time, but especially right now, you're going to have high connection to your guests. You're going to have a strong message, a strong offer. You're going to promote it through email, which is a direct line to your guests, and Boomerang Ads. You're going to have that additional touch point through your advertising, not just to anyone, but to people that already know, like, and trust you. Okay, so the promotion booster triangle, it's important because you control it. It's very cost effective compared to a lot of other advertising. Like I said, it targets people who know, like, and trust you. And that is big in this world, especially as trust declines in a lot of ways. People are more on edge and more distrustful than ever, I think. And it grows with more inputs. So the garden, I'm going to expand on this in future webinars, but I'm a big gardener. And last year we moved to a new house. I built garden beds, and it was a pretty good year. This year is going to be even better because I've added more inputs, more compost, more soil, more fertilizer, and things are just they've already have. We're in Michigan, and we're already picking boatloads of spinach, for instance. So things build over time. The keys to this are you need a strong offer with a reason, a promotion, a special, or package. It takes time to build. So it takes time to really profit off of this. If you've already been growing this, your email marketing database and your connection, your website traffic and whatnot, that'll be valuable, but it's still valuable even if you're just starting out. It also takes regular use and maintenance to be most effective. So the top of that triangle is the strong offer in the message. So it should live on your website and everything directs back to it. You want it to generate action. You want it to help people to discover more about you by having it on your website. So like I said, so let's use an example of the gift card promotion. You're going to have that as a special on your site. You're going to direct everything else back to that promotion. So that offer it can't just have a quick, here's a discount, here's a value. It should have some compelling writing around it, compelling imagery as well, and a clear call to action. Do you want people to call you? Do you want them to click a link and purchase? You've got to tell them exactly what you're asking them to do. The second corner of that triangle is email marketing. Absolutely critical. After all these years, it's still the most effective from a revenue standpoint. Google brings our clients a lot of bookings. Social media can be effective in the right situation. There's still value in magazine ads and some of that sometimes, and yet email marketing is how you get that direct contact with your guests. A lot of folks focus on social media and Facebook so much, for instance, and yet you can have an audience of 5,000 people, and you can have 10 people see your post. With email marketing, you can have an audience of 5,000, and you can have 1,000 to 15 to 2,000 people open that, and 500 click through, maybe. That's way more effective to getting the message across. It's just less fancy. It's more boring, but it is absolutely more effective for engagement and for revenue. So with that, you want to utilize the inverse pyramid to generate action. And that means that you give them a highlight, you give them some copy that leads to one action. I'm going to come back up here. So this email right here, something that engages their interest, copy that gives them an experience and talks to them. And then what you don't see down here is a clear button that calls to action and to go purchase on their website. So that is the function of an email. That's the inverse triangle there. Okay, so we're getting long in time, so I'm gonna kind of run through this. There's a couple other details that you can go through and we can highlight. I'm gonna go in more detail to this. Number 3 is boomerang ads. So boomerang ads mean that it's retargeting. It's boomerangs, people that have already come in contact with you in some way. Maybe they're longtime guests, or maybe they just hit your website a month ago. Whatever it is, you want to bring them back. That is one of the most effective ways and most ways to return on your investment for advertising. So you have to build audiences to target, but these are some of the audiences. I love this. Website traffic. You can go up to the past 6 months, maybe more. I have to look at the updates from Facebook. So in this, we're primarily talking about Facebook Instagram, this is where you would target people with these ads. You can also do retargeting and boomerang ads on Google, but it tends to be a little bit more expensive, a little less effective, because you just don't have as much creativity with what you can do. So you can target people that have been on your website, people that have interacted with you on Facebook and Instagram, who've liked, messaged, commented, interacted in some way, video views, people that have watched your videos, even a couple of seconds, and then your emails. So you can target people that you have their email address. You may have sent them an email, but you're also going to send them an ad. So those multiple touch points are how you're going to break through the noise and connect with people. And then you're going to focus on Facebook. Like I said, for cost and reach, you can add Instagram. It tends to be less effective unless you're really dialed into the Instagram crowd and audience. People are just less likely to take action. So even with Facebook's declining popularity, it still is huge and still really valuable with folks. So consider that triangle. I can talk all day about this, but this is really key to have those three pieces. If you have a breakdown in any of those, you're not going to have the energy that you would otherwise. So that's a little bit about that. So, and just this could be, like I said, a message. This could be an engagement thing. It doesn't have to be a sales thing. It could be an engagement thing as well, meaning your breakfast video. You're promoting that. You want to make sure the maximum amount of people see it that would actually care to see it, that have been in contact with you in some way. So there's multiple ways to do this and get in there. Okay, we just talked about gift cards and future reservations. Those are the biggest revenue opportunities. I want to talk about one more, and then we're going to talk about some other ideas as well. Adding small weddings to your property. If you do it now, expanding that, increasing the visibility of that. If you don't do it, add it. I see a number of things, and I'm almost every property should really focus on this, whether you typically are hands-on, maybe you run a vacation rental, bring together a team and offer a package, because small weddings are going to be so crucial. And here's just to kind of highlight the point. This is one of our clients that we work with them on some of their weddings, and you can see that they're asking about, they have a wedding planned in Asheville. We're kind of in the Gatlinburg area, but I'm setting up a Gatlinburg elopement as our backup plan. So people are planning even this crazy time, even a couple months ahead of time. These folks, and like I said, I took this off of one of our clients. So this is not, this is one of our clients specifically. Because of COVID, our wedding plans got changed. We want to elope and are looking for an affordable option. Since I've been out of work, again, COVID, I saw it on your website and would like more info, specifically pricing. People's weddings are probably going to get canceled, or they are canceling them for a cheaper option. Adding elopements could actually absolutely be a benefit to you. So I've listed some other benefits here. Large weddings are getting canceled. Your property is small and maybe out of the way even. You're well positioned to benefit from it. It's another revenue stream. It's less likely that people are going to just cancel on a dime. They're going to think it through. Maybe they'll reduce the size of the wedding, but it's less likely for quick cancellations. All of my properties that have significant wedding business have been way less affected than those that only focus on lodging. You'll have the cash flow from the deposits. You can fill rooms midweek by giving a discount, a reduced rate for your elopement packages in midweek. And like I said, it's more insulated to future risk. What if another shutdown comes and a lot more cancellations, come? I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that it will, but we have no idea. And so this is another diversity to your income stream that will allow you to do that. So maybe a new thing that you haven't done before, you haven't done a lot of. Get in touch. I can give you some tips from a marketing perspective, but I think it's going to be a real potential area to focus on in the coming year or two, because it just gives you that diversity of income, and small elopements, I think, are really going to increase in popularity. I have a brother who pushed his wedding back from the summer to next summer. A lot of people aren't going to wait though. They're going to say, we're going to get married. We're just going to do it in a different way. Okay. So you hit the top three. Here's some additional revenue streams. I like diversity of revenue, as you can tell. So none of these are going to, pay your mortgage right off the bat, but they're going to build. So this is just a way to give you ideas, things you already may be doing in small ways. But think about an online store. You can sell lotions, pillows, sheets, and mugs. This is a client of ours, and they're selling this in store, trying to convince them to sell online as well, and have that as an option. Very easy. You can use Shopify to set up an online store. There's a lot of ways where you don't have to spend a lot of money. It means learning some new skill sets and shipping and all that, but you can sell those. I've sold for clients that, Comfy Company. They have pillows and sheets and duvets and different things like that. I've sold that for clients a number of years, helped them promote that, and done really well. They come to your property, they remember they had the best sleep of their life. They want to buy. They may want to buy the mattress. I've had a property do that. They may want to buy the pillows or the sheets. So if you use high quality and you want to promote that, do that. Handmade mugs, like such you would find from Deneen Pottery. Those are great to sell. Sell those online. Lotions, soaps, all these things from a client, like I said, those can all, a lot of that can be shipped out, and is a great diversity of income. You can also sell local art, handmade goods. You are that hub and those spokes to your local area. So you have that audience, you have those people. So even if you've been nurturing a good email list and you've been nurturing a strong social presence and you have a lot of traffic to your website, you can pivot and sell different things. They're not going to replace the income fully, but it can be a great one-time, or not one time, but a great small revenue stream of a couple $100, perhaps even, or you focus on it, it could be a couple $1,000, and it grows from there. You have that audience, you can find other ways to monetize that. Dining, if you have dining on site or you offer any type of dining, you can offer takeout, you could do delivery, even if you just focus on 1 or 2 nights a week, or special holidays or things like that. That can be really beneficial. There's a lot of things you can do on the dining side if you want to keep that going and expand that. And I highly recommend that if you offer that at your property. The other thing you might consider is affiliate partnerships. I've not seen a lot of this for lodging, but it's common in other areas of marketing. And that's partnering with others in your local area, artists, makers, fishing guides, local, hunting guides, whatever is in your area. Think about those people that are making a living, and those are your guests that are buying their products, their services. Can you sell those directly? So you would send, for instance, maybe you send an email promoting the local fishing charter in your area. If that person, if they buy because of that, you get a cut of that. So working out those deals to where you're promoting those kinds of experiences, whether they're products or services, you're the media company, you're the central hub. You can find ways to monetize, like I said. So those are some additional ideas. Not everything's going to work for everyone, but hopefully that gives you some ideas on how to diversify your income streams and going forward. Okay, we're almost to the end here. I've just got a couple of things I'm going to jump over, and that is another step, another area is to focus on and evaluating and moving on things that impact your business long term. So you're probably already thinking about that, and refinishing furniture or cleaning this thing out or repainting or whatnot. But think in terms of your marketing and what that in your sales process. Think about cleaning off the cobwebs and improving those and putting a fresh coat of paint on those things. One that is important is a booking engine. A lot of booking engines do these things. They do these 3 things poorly. The bad checkout experience is only good on desktop, not good on mobile, and they don't upsell or cross-sell your packages or your add-on items very well. It's just, they're very rough. So I've got some good ones for small properties. It's going to depend on what type of property you are, but adjusting and making that change now, it's going to be potentially easier than ever. So make that shift. It'll be worth it in terms of the conversions. On that similar note, phone etiquette and practices, that is important. A lot of folks, 60-70% of my properties are getting phone reservations. People want to call and talk to somebody. So having that clearly, we've done some audits with clients, and if you have staff, they're probably not doing everything you want them to do. So, and they're not, in a lot of cases, doing accurate and thorough data entry, or it's not consistent. So having standards around that. If you get any type of OTA business, you get Expedia, you get Airbnb, you get Booking.com, you get any of that, having a thorough entry and asking people for their email address when they come, and not being stuck with their Booking.com email address, means accurate and thorough data entry. This is how you build a brand in your lodging. Guest experience, obviously, I'm not an expert on these things, but they make a big difference in marketing, and they really reduce friction and help people give awesome reviews, which we'll be talking about in the future. Pricing and positioning, of course, taking a fresh look at that, I think, is your positioning in your local market is really beneficial. A lot of times when people are having a hard time hitting up against some type of barrier in their income, a lot of it's a positioning and a value of what people see. Okay, unnecessary expenses. They're always out there in a business. This can be a great time to trim. We've got more in the post about these, but TripAdvisor business listings, they're a thing of the past. Paying for a link to your website when people can open up a new tab and search, just not necessary. So we've advised all of our clients to get rid of a business listing, put it into other advertising. You could even advertise with sponsored listings on TripAdvisor, but this is just, there's a lot of things that can eat up a couple $100 a month and don't produce a value. If you have questions specifically, we can look at your analytics. We do that for clients on an ongoing basis to see what they're signing up for is producing value in terms of phone calls and in terms of online bookings for them, and in terms of traffic as well. Okay, that was it. We made it. It was a little longer than I expected. We had a little technical difficulties, but thank you for being along for the ride. I hope it's been beneficial and valuable to you. And thank you for your time and your attention. I will send this out as a recording if you didn't get a chance or you want to review it again. And this stage 2 is coming up this Friday. Let's see what that is. This Friday, May 8th. This Friday, May 8th, we have stage 2, Trickle demand. Some of you are starting to enter it, or you're about to enter in the next couple of weeks. We want to make sure that we get in front of it and allow you to have a clear plan. So we'll be coming similarly with examples and really down-to-earth ideas, and talking about some of these things here and ramping those up. So the goal, the article lays everything out. The goal is to give it to you visually and explain it, and give you lots of as many examples as we can to further enhance that. Demand is starting. This is a view of 200 North American website traffic for larger visitor bureaus and destination websites. And you can see the cliff it went off and where we're at. We kind of stayed flat. End of April, as they last checked it, we're starting to climb back up. I'm seeing that from my clients. Things are starting to climb back up. They're still down. So demand is starting. So attend the next session, Trickle Demand. And that is going to give you the plan for kind of the next stage and things that you can do. And it's going to dive more into that promotion triangle that we talked about and how to do that effectively. So thanks for your time. I'm going to check here for any questions here. Okay, it looks like I got a couple of email from folks that I'll respond to. Excellent. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Let me know what questions you have. Hit reply to an email, schedule a strategy session. I'm happy to give you more value. I want to help see you be successful in the next stage. So thanks for your time. Talk to you soon.